of equality, equity, transparency, and consideration to every good patriotic citizen who is ready to contribute towards national development. Therefore, I want all Gambians to applaud the efforts of His Excellency Sheikh Professor Al-Hadi Dr. Yahya A.J. Jammeh for his vision, hard work, and love for humanity.
The event was also punctuated with cultural performances. For Grts News, I am Fatou Jassi.
Well, we're going to take a very short break now. The news continues in just a moment.
3G internet service at the lowest price ever.
3G AfriCell brings you the most affordable 3G internet bundles ever.
Get your AfriCell Extreme 3G internet service for as low as $15 is only.
AfriCell 3G bundles starting from 50 megabytes up to 12 gigabytes.
12 gigabytes bundle for a tariff as low as 5 buttons per megabyte.
And all bundles are valid for 30 days.
AfriCell Extreme 3G service for as low as $15.
To subscribe, please dial 120 and choose from the available 3G bundles.
For more info, call 113.
AfriCell Extreme 3G service.
For as low as 5 buttons per megabyte, stay connected to AfriCell's 3G network.
AfriCell.
When we say Extreme 3G,
it is truly extreme.
Welcome back to GRTS News. Life is slowly returning back to normal in the Somali capital, Mogadishu, more than 2 decades after the fall of dictator Said Barre and the subsequent interclan fightings that tore apart the country. The recent gains by African Union forces over Al-Shabaab militants have bred in confidence among residents of Mogadishu. But as we hear in this report, the change in fortune for the people of this once troubled city comes with its dark side.
Capital is slowly adapting to a life of peace after decades of war. Islamist Shababs are just a painful memory. Today, the streets are calm. Now police patrol the town, backed up by Ugandan soldiers.
The patrols we are conducting today, it is capacity building to the Somali police force, and to give people confidence that there is security. So people should not worry, security is there.
But with the return of government and administration, hundreds of families who were squatting official buildings must now move.
The government needs its buildings. They were originally schools and offices. The Turkish government is renovating the former Technical Training Institute now that we have evicted the squatters who lived there. We do not evict people before we find someplace else for them.
For the families forced on the trucks, it is the start of a new nightmare.
We have nowhere to live. I ask the government to resettle us somewhere proper. We are poor and displaced.
Over the coming weeks, the evictions will continue, swelling the ranks of Mogadishu's homeless. To make matters worse, the capital is bracing for waves of refugees fleeing the drought.
Rebels in the east of the Democratic Republic of Congo have stormed into the strategic city of Goma after laying siege in the settlement for a week. DR Congo's poorly equipped army is now facing another problem as towns and cities such as Bukavu and Kisangani are being targeted by the heavily armed rebels. Meanwhile, M23 rebels have called on government soldiers and police to lay down their weapons and surrender. We have details of that story in this report.
An emergency meeting of the United Nations Security Council in New York has unanimously backed a resolution proposed by France to sanction 2 M23 rebel leaders who seized Goma, a key city in eastern DR Congo. The United Nations Security Council called on neighboring Rwanda, that is accused of backing the rebels, to take action so that the M23 rebels pull out of the Congolese city. M23 rebels who now totally control Goma have called for civilians to keep calm. The rebels have ordered all Congolese soldiers and police officers in Goma to surrender and be identified. From Kinshasa, DR Congolese President Joseph Kabila is trying to mobilize the population and institutions. Goma's fall to the rebels has angered the Congolese, many of whom reproach the government for not taking necessary action to defend the city.
The army should have been restructured a long time ago. Our army has many shortcomings in terms of training and logistics.
The Kinshasa government is attempting to reassure public opinion.
We have certainly lost the battle, but not the war. And we will be victorious. This is what all the Congolese people want.
M23 rebels warned Wednesday that they will continue their offensive against the cities of Bukavu, Kisangani and then on to the Congolese capital Kinshasa. They are demanding that President Kabila leave power.
Well, from that we take a look at sports. Football is one of the most lucrative sports, and with the emergence of television rights, football's money-spinning ability is growing around the world. In Africa, for instance, the Africa Cup of Nations, the continent's premier football showpiece event, continues to generate huge profits, largely due to the role played by television deals. We have details of that story in this report.
The Cup of Nations is undoubtedly the most prestigious competition in the African Confederation of Football and one of the most important in the world of football. This is the opinion of a number of specialists, including Gérard Dreyfus, a former head of the Radio France International Sports Service.
We estimate there will be 5 billion television viewers in all, who will be collectively watching television to follow the African Nations Cup. This is an impressive figure.
The Africa Cup of Nations, the Champions League, the Confederation Cup and the African Nations Championship all generate profits used to finance the Africa Cup of Nations. In 2010, the online profits alone from the Confederation Cup amounted to $46 million.
There is a lot of money in African football. Now the question is this money distributed as it should be to help football clubs on a day-to-day basis?
According to Franck Simon, huge profits generated by the Africa Cup of Nations are not used to finance big projects on the continent. And he blames Cameroonian Issa Hayatou, who has been the chairman of the African Football Confederation for 24 years.
Hayatou said that he had a program to build a number of structures across the continent that he called sports academies. These would be regional football institutions. But what in fact happened is that a sports center was built in Cameroon, but nothing else was done in other countries that were cited, Ethiopia and countries in southern Africa, for example.
With no big projects and increasingly poorer clubs, where is the money going? According to some observers, the president of the African Football Confederation is using the profits to buy electoral votes. Others say Issa Hayatou is misappropriating the funds. These accusations are denied by his close circle.
I have known President Hayatou for nearly 40 years. I couldn't possibly believe that he has put money in his pocket.
The International Football Federation Association includes 6 confederations. FIFA allocates $5 million to each one of them every year and denies the accusations against Issa Hayatou.
We have never seen a single case of misappropriation or misuse of funds paid by FIFA to any of the confederations. If there were any such cases, we would audit the accounts, see how the money was used, and there would be immediate sanctions.
However, FIFA does admit that the mafia has infiltrated the world of football. According to Jérôme Valk, the mafia only operates in illegal online betting on matches. These bets take place all over the African continent.
Well, from sports, a reminder of our top stories.